Hi, I'm Spiro with SP Wood Art, and thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to make something that I've wanted for a long time. Again, last week it was a mallet, and this week I'm going to make a jam chuck to finish the bottom of bowls. So I hope you stick around and we'll have some fun. And I hope it'll give you some ideas for maybe in your shop for salvaging some bowls. I will start this project out using a 3/4 inch thick birch wood plywood, which has already been rounded out from a previous project. This is just an extra I have. The only problem I have is that the diameter is too big for my lathe, so I'm going to have to shorten the diameter. But before I do that, I'm going to attach my 3-inch face plate to the plywood to make holding it easier. And to help center the face plate on the plywood, I'm going to use this little tool. It's just a dowel with a nail glued in the center. And once you find center on your plywood, you just mark a little hole, and then you stick the nail from the dowel in the little hole, and your faceplate will just slide right into center. The dowel here is actually a little bit small. It needs to be wider, but it's close enough for this project, seeing how I have to make the plywood smaller anyway. Then I'm going to use 4 wood screws. I always recommend using wood screws for attaching faceplates to any wood. Another variation of this jam chuck would be to use a recess cut into the jam chuck, and then you can attach it to a 4-jaw scroll chuck if you don't feel like using faceplates. But for this video, I'm going to use the faceplate for those of you that don't own a scroll chuck or that don't prefer to use them. Now, using my beam compass, I'm going to make a new diameter, and hopefully that'll fit on my lathe. I believe it will end up being about 9.5 inches. Next, I'll move over to my bench top belt sander, and I'm going to sand the plywood down to my pencil line for my new circumference. And I'd like to reiterate that the only reason why I have to do this part is because this piece of plywood is from a previous project. If I were to have made this plywood for this specific project, I wouldn't have to do this. You can also see that this is why I wanted to put on the face plate now, so I can have a nice handle to hold on to while I'm sanding. And I'll just clean up my sandpaper with my little gum stick. Then I'll just take it over to the lathe and make sure it fits and it's good. Here I'm going to mark the front of the jam chuck with my tailstock with a live center cone. Next, I'm going to true up the edge using a carbide square cutter. And if you have never turned plywood before, it can get quite dusty. Then I'll do a quick sand to knock down the corners because they're a little bit sharp. You may or may not have to do this. And just to make sure, you may want to do this as well, I took a square and made sure that the face of the jam chuck is exactly 90 degrees to the top of my tailstock. This will ensure that the plywood thickness is even. Now I'm going to use some anti-rug slip material. It goes underneath rugs so area rugs don't move around. I have a few rolls of this stuff left from my daughter's rug, and it works really well. I use it for sanding as well as other things. This will help to pad the bowls or plates, and it'll help grip the bowls and plates so they don't move around on the lathe or on the jam chuck. You don't have to use this type of material. I just think that it's going to work well. You can use foam, paper towels, you can use nothing. Now I'm going to move over to my new assembly area, which is great. This is an old desk that I actually made. It's still in really good shape, and I actually have a chair to sit on. It's pretty nice. It's kind of why I've been a little bit busy this week. I've been doing a lot of shop work. Anyway, so I'm using an X-Acto knife, and I'm just cutting that anti-slip material around the jam chuck. I've decided to use a double-sided Turner's tape, it's called, or just double-sided tape you can use, but the Turner's tape is pretty strong stuff. And the reason why I'm using this is that if this anti-stick material gets dirty or messed up or ripped somehow, I could just peel it off and put a new piece on. Perhaps I went a little overboard with the tape, but hey, you never know. It might add a lot more strength. And I'm just using a X-Acto knife to peel the top layer of the tape off to expose the other sticky side. And then I'll just take all those off, and then I'll apply the anti-sticky material, but hopefully it'll stick to the tape. And the results are yes. So this material sticks well to the tape. So here is a old aromatic red cedar wood bowl that I did a while ago, and the bottom cracked in several places, and I tried fixing the cracks with some super glue in there, and it looks awful, and I really want to just take the whole bottom back off. And this jam chuck is going to be the perfect tool for this job. The bowl still has its center mark, which is a plus, but if it didn't, there are ways that you can find the center again. Well, the best method is to plan ahead when you're making your bowls to make sure you have a mark left on there. But you can find the center again by using a compass and marking the center in a couple of different places by referencing the edge of the bowl, as I'm doing here. The other method that you can use is to just use a center finder, something that you use to find the center on, say, pen blanks. The center finder that I'm showing here has a center finder for square objects on one side and round objects on the other side. And if all else fails, you can try and look for some tool marks that may lead you to a previous center. So the basic concept of this particular jam chuck is that your workpiece will be jammed between the tailstock and the disc. and the pressure that is applied from the tailstock will hold your work securely to the face of the jam chuck. And you may have an issue if the bottom of your bowler plate is really thin. You'll have to use less pressure because you don't want your tailstock to go right through your bowler plate. Let's hope that it works. And it looks like it's going pretty well, and it's running true. And it's also nice to know that my bowl never changed shape by sitting around for a while. All in all, I think this is a great jam chuck. It's going to be great for reverse chucking, as in my bowls and plates. And if you don't have one, they're easy to make. You should make one, give it a try. There are many kinds of jam chucks. This is just one. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and subscribe if you haven't.